If you do not understand white supremacy, what it is, and how it works, everything else that you do understand will confuse you. In all of these 9 areas of activity, economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war, anywhere on the planet, minute by minute, day by day, all of the time, all of the time, all of the time.
Let me start off by saying blessings to all who have tuned in to the program July the 30th, 2024. Mr. Fuller and myself, we thank you, and just know this, that we take none of this for granted. We are so appreciative that you took time to call in to the station today with questions, comments. We thank you. We have something special for you today. Well, really not special, but some issues that we are going to address, and you are going to hear them today. Now, you know the numbers to get in contact with the show, but for those who may be new to the program, and I'm looking at a few numbers that are new, this is the number that you call to make contact. It's 516-453-9921. The routine is if you have a question or comment, then you press the number 1 button and just wait till someone gets in, acknowledges you, and then give them your name so that Mr. Bobby can properly give you an introduction. Just bear in mind that I make a lot of mistakes. I'm acknowledging that from the top, so I may mispronounce your name, but it's not on purpose. So I'm going to ask you for forgiveness in advance, as I forgive myself for messing it up. But that's what I do. Anyway, now, if you are a new caller, you do the same thing, except this. Make sure that you tell the person whom you're speaking with that you are a new caller, and then they will give me the name or type in the name so that I can see it. And then you get priority status, which means that you will be heard. You will be heard. And then I'd say at the end, don't be a stranger. But I think I'm going to change it up today. Don't be a stranger when you call in. And give Mr. Fuller time to address your question or comment. And I want you to bear in mind that Mr. Fuller, because of the fact that he despises confusion, he uses many examples to illustrate, or as I say, illustrate what he's trying to say so that we can be clear, because the one thing that we do not want is confusion. There's enough of that to go around. Now, if you would like not to do that, you could Gmail me, and I'm going to give you that address. It's the numeral 7, Mr. Bobby, MrBobby, @gmail.com. I will get it, and I will read it. I will let you know about it, and have Mr. Fuller address your concerns or comments on that. And lastly, you may join the chat room, and all you have to do for that is go to blogtalkradio.com. When you get there, you want to click on programs, and the programs that you want is the Produce Justice Show. You click on that, then the chat room becomes available for you to get in, as a few have already got in there. And occasionally there are questions that or comments that are in the chat room, and I will occasionally lift one off, and then I will formulate my own question, giving you credit, for the question being asked. And sometimes I do read a direct quote from that, but most of the time, or the point that I'm trying to get is that please, ma'am, please, sir, do not use the chat room to ask me a question to ask Mr. Fuller, because that is what the Gmail line is for and the regular phone line is for. And yes, you will have excuse me, some problems getting in sometimes because there are a lot of people that like to call in. Now, I would like to say, and we started this last week, that the first person that called in last week, said that they had 2 questions. Okay. Really, we really are not formatted for you to ask 2 questions, but I allowed it to go on. And if you do that for one, then you have to do that for other people too, or else you're showing favoritism. We don't want to do that. But try to ask a specific question and let Mr. Fuller ask or answer your question so that you can give other people who are on the line a chance to ask your question. If we were formatted for more hours, then yes, we could do that, but we're not. So please, ma'am, please, sir, keep that in mind and give Mr. Fuller a chance to address your issue. Now, the book that Mr. Fuller will be talking about or quoting from, you already know, but for those who don't, it is the United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept. That book that you can get by going to producejustice.com, producejustice.com. You can get that book. Matter of fact, I'm going to say something about that after I finish this. producejustice.com, you can do that. You can get that there. Okay, I believe that is it that I have to address. Okay, I think that's it. All righty. Got to be careful here. Okay, I think that's it. So then let's get on with the program. Let me introduce to some and present to others Mr. Neely Fuller, Jr. Mr. Fuller, good morning, and how are you?
Good morning. I'm still learning.
Okay. Now, this is what we're going to do this morning. We usually have a segment, and we still might get to it, but it might be later in the program. But the segment that we usually start off with is thoughts and expressions on the mind of Mr. Neely Fuller, Jr. Then he goes on for about anywhere from 5 to 7 minutes, different thoughts and expressions that are on his mind. We're going to delay that slightly because we have an issue that we need to address. So, Mr. Fuller, have your ears ready, and here we go. This is from a Gmail. As a matter of fact, this is for all people who are experiencing problems with the book. Listen to this. First, I'm going to read the Gmail, and then I'm going to read the response. This comes from Matt. I'm not going to give your last name. Now, let me preface this. I'm hoping that this is a real person, because I've learned that sometimes trolls get on the line and act as if they are a member of our this and ask questions to try to trip Fuller up or try to trip me up or whatever. But I'm praying and hoping that this is a real issue that we can address. Well, we're going to address the issue anyway. Anyway, this is what he says. He said, Mr. Bobby, I have been a dedicated follower of the code for about 4 years now, and I finally made a commitment to purchase 2 of Mr. Fuller's books. I ordered both of my books over 5 months ago, and I keep receiving emails from Produce Justice saying that they will be sending the book soon. I am a little confused and saddened based on how this behavior and actions go against the code that is presented. I somewhat feel like I'm getting used and scammed, and it has taken a toll on me mentally. I have become to trust you based on the years of listening to you and Mr. Fuller, and I wanted to reach out to see if there is any way you can help me by making sure I receive the 2 books as it is an important time in my life. They are much needed, and this comes from Matt. Now, if you remember, and I'm going to respond to that, if you remember last week, Mr. Fuller got directly involved in a situation, and I hesitated to do that because when you do that, that opens up the floodgates for everybody who has a complaint to call in and have Mr. Fuller or myself, which neither one of us can really do, to get to make sure that you get your order, because this is his legacy. This is Mr. Fuller's legacy on the line, and we don't need to have any problems or confusions in there. So Mr. Fuller said that he would get involved and get that person that book. That person was kind enough to give me their order number. Now, this person here, Matt, did not give me an order number, and I did respond to him asking him to give me the order number so that those who are in positions to listen to this can address that and get that done. Now, and I asked him, I said, do you have your order number? And I will read your message on the program today and see what Fuller has to say. All right, so waiting on that, and Matt has not sent me the email. Now, this morning, this is the response to that. Let's see, let me read it here. Okay, I got a communication this morning. It said, good morning, Mr. Bobby. I have communicated to the person in charge, which I'm not going to mention the name over the air, that it is imperative to fix the distribution problem because it was causing on-air problems. Now, unfortunately, I don't have access to the books. I'm not involved in shipping. Otherwise, I would have shipped them myself. But I have inserted myself and arranged for the books to resume shipping on Friday. Everybody, Friday. This directive comes straight from the top. Let me repeat that. This directive comes straight from the top. So if we can let the listeners know, whoever calls, or in general, that the management staff is greatly appreciative of their patience and regrets the inconvenience caused by the delays. All books will be shipped starting this Friday. And I know we said this before, but this comes straight from the top. And I received that from the team. So there you heard it. You heard it here, July the 30th, 2024 at 9:12 a.m. This person that I'm not going to mention the name is getting involved in it to make sure that everything is going to be as promised and the books will be shipped. Everybody says Friday. You heard it here. I have it here. I'm looking right at it. All right. All righty. Before we go on, Mr. Fuller, you have any comment about that before we move on, sir?
That's what I've been told as of this morning.
Okay.
I was just informed of that this morning.
Okay.
And you better believe this has got to happen. Otherwise, I just might go off the air and stop talking altogether until I can keep my promise.
Yes, sir.
Because you don't make promises that you don't keep. That's a solid part of the code. I mean, it's just certain things are not supposed to happen. And if I'm aware that it's happening, and it's a monumental code violation, and that is, then that means that has to be compensated for.
Yes.
This is the law of compensation. And anything that even has the smell of a rip-off or not keeping a promise or causing confusion, that's an absolute no-no under any circumstance.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, well, that's why I wanted to start the program off in lieu of thoughts and expressions on your mind this morning, because this is a serious issue. This is your legacy. But I'm also cautious. I've learned from the code to be cautious, because sometimes people get on here or inform me of an issue that they're just playing, making it up. In other words, a troll. And those of you in the chat room know about that because you have dealt with that. See, so I'm hoping that this person that I read their Gmail about is a real person. And if they have their, like I said before, if they have their order number, they can get right on it and make sure. But regardless of if they do or don't, you heard it over the air, this Friday, a certain individual who I have put trust in indicated that the books will be shipped Friday. So there you go. There you go. Had to start the program off with that, but that was very important. Maybe in the second hour we'll go over the thoughts and expressions. But anyway, let's get to the phone calls here. And let's go right to Blacktop. Blacktop in New York, you are on with Mr. Fuller. What is your question?
How you doing today, Mr. Bobby?
Good. Now, I have to remind you that background noise is interfering with the call, so if you can eliminate that, that'd be great.
Okay. Can you hear me better now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I had a question for you. My question is, why do you think those racist suspects classified as white, they rarely call into the show?
Okay. Mr. Fuller?
The question is what?
Say it again, Blacktop.
So why is it that racist suspects rarely call into the show? Those classified as white.
I've never known of any white person calling in on this show since I've been doing it. Not one. Not one. Ever. As far as I know. Now, one may have called, and I didn't detect them as being a white person, and they would not say whether or not, but I don't know of any. In fact, I don't know of any that white person that is on any show that I've ever been on, where you call in, no white people at all, ever. I have noticed even when I was going around speaking at different universities and whatnot, which was some time ago, white people wouldn't talk to me at all, wouldn't ask questions in the audience or nothing. They just wouldn't, except a lady named Karen, oddly enough, one white lady who would show up at many of the events where I was speaking, and she would, well, I would say, comparatively speaking, boldly ask questions and engage. But that's the only person. White people would be in the audience, but they wouldn't say anything, one way or another.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All righty. Okay. Was that? Excuse me. Was that clear to you there, Blacktop? Okay. All righty. Thank you, Blacktop, for calling in. Okay, let's go out to Los Angeles. Wow. 6:19 in the morning. Gillis, L.A., get ready. Get ready. And the person in the 916, please be sure to give your name. Okay, let me see. Gillis, let me see here. Okay, Gillis, good morning. You're on with Mr. Fuller.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Bobby. Good morning, Mr. Fuller. I am so thankful that you guys are up doing this. So here's my question. According to the American Psychiatric Association, or APA for short, there is a mental disorder called antisocial personality disorder. Some of the characteristics of that disorder are a general hostile and antagonistic relationship with other people, a lack of empathy, and a lack of remorse. Now, throughout my life, it seems to me that most people that I have encountered that I would consider to be racist have also shown, in my opinion, signs that they suffer from antisocial personality disorder. So my question to you, Mr. Fuller, is do you think that racism could maybe be another symptom of a mental disorder? In other words, have you ever examined racism as a possible mental disease? Thank you. That's my question.
All right.
Yes. Racism is a monumental mental disorder. According to what? According to logic. What is a mental disorder? Just that. Disorder of any kind. That is, it doesn't function the way that it should when put among people. That's what a disease is. That's a mental disorder. Mental and physical are firmly wedded. If there's a disorder in the body of any kind, mind or body, they all go together to a person that is alive, that has life, rather. So if one part is in a disorder, the other part is automatically thrown out of order. And everything starts with the mind. So whomever thought up something called racism has thought up a mental disorder that has caused all kinds of disorders in people's behavior, bodily and mentally. And so, in the system of white supremacy, if you just want to use loose language, has made everybody crazy on the planet. We are all mentally ill. Just on that alone. And there are other factors that make people mentally ill and have always been in recorded history. Mental illness has dominated the entire planet. I mean, everybody's mentally ill. And white supremacy is just another addition to mental illness for the victims and for the people who are practicing white supremacy.
Yes.
So the answer is yes. Mental disorder to the nth degree. In fact, the greatest mental disorder on the planet in the year 2024. It's the greatest of all of them put together. Racism. We're all just as crazy as we can be, and the evidence shows it.
Yes, sir. All righty. Okay, let me see here before was that satisfactory for you there, Gillis?
Oh, yes, that was very satisfactory. Thank you.
Okay. All right, you are welcome. Don't be a stranger, Gillis, because I haven't seen you up here before, but thank you very much. All right, listen, you know, I've learned and am still learning. I know a lot of people call in, and especially when Mr. Fuller's particular special day comes along, and I've learned from him to, rather than say happy birthday, I've been learning to say happy breath day, but I still will say happy birthday. Well, anyway, today, July the 30th, is a day that I was told was the day that I was born, and I've accepted that. And I just want to say thank you for all who have, my phone is blowing up and you might can hear it in the background, but I want to thank you for all for the acknowledgement. I celebrate Breath Day because I celebrate it every day, including you. So every day. It's not a specific day anymore with me. And I just want to acknowledge that. And I'm very grateful and thankful to turn another chapter. I think this is chapter number 72. I can't believe that. 55 years in broadcasting. Wow. But thank you, and thanking you in advance. Thank you for listening to the program. But I just want to get that out of the way, because a lot of people be calling in, and like I said, my phone is just blowing up, and I thank you. Yes, happy birthday. Yes. All righty. Let me go to my fellow. Don't forget the person in the 916, and I think the 646. Don't forget to give me your name, and then after that I'm going to do a Gmail here. Okay, Mr. Corey, the Milwaukee man. Corey, good morning. Talk to me.
Greetings, Mr. Bobby and Mr. Fuller,
yes,
and happy birthday, brother.
Thank you, sir.
My question, Mr. Fuller, is regarding one of the quotes you have in the back of the book, where could you, for the benefit of the listening audience and myself, could you expound on this quote that you give? Anything that is put into the body or mind will either help to build it up or tear it down.
Yes, sir, just that. If you eat something, whatever you're eating is going to go somewhere in your body. And wherever those objects that you put in your body, or that fluid that you put in your body, or something you inject in your body, is going to go somewhere in your body. Because that's where it's being transferred from the outside of your body to the inside. Now, once it gets inside, your body has different organisms, you might say, that have specific functions. Everybody has an assignment, you might say. If you think of your body as a whole bunch of people inside your body. So like your kidneys, that's the name of the person, you might say. That person has an assignment. So here comes Mr. or Mrs. or Miss Kidney. So from your mouth to your kidney, it travels that route and goes straight to your kidney, because that whatever that object is has an assignment, or it goes wherever it goes, wherever the doctor said it goes. And so you're eating some lettuce, and the lettuce goes somewhere, and so the liver looks at it and says, well, this is not your first stop. Just like you are in a airport and you're in line, and someone, you're in the incorrect line, and the person at the airport, some official of some type, might tell you, oh, well, step over here in this line. You're in an incorrect line. So I'm going to put you at the head of the line over there, because you're not supposed to be in this line. Whoever sent you over here, they sent you to. And see, once you get over there, they'll process you, and then you come to me. Now, that's the way the body is orchestrated, from what I've been told. And I'm giving it to you in simplistic language, which is the way I like to hear it. And so, yes, everything that goes into your body has an assignment. And sometimes your body receives all kinds of stuff, I would say most of the time in the northwestern hemisphere, and your body doesn't recognize it. Say, what's all this junk? That's why we call it junk food. Sodas of any kind. They say, well, I'm not set up to handle this. What's all this sugar? Oh, sugar and everything. Something called refined sugar is no part of this You can't find an organism here. We're not organized like that. That's what all of your insides are saying. Because from what the doctors have told me, there's nothing in your body that's set up to handle refined sugar. And it's set up to handle some salts called sodium. So yeah, we can handle a little bit of this, but just a little bit. I mean, all this stuff you keep pouring down here, I mean, we're overloaded. I mean, this sodium, I mean, hey, I handle the sodium, but man, it's too much. I mean, I'm working around the clock, and I'm gonna tell you what, I give up. I'm not built to handle all this salt, and that's what some parts of your body is saying. And so the salt begins to look for other places to go in your body, because that's where it is. So then it fans out all over the place. Sugar does too. Next thing you know, the sugar just say, well, hey, this department don't handle it. And so we're just going to shove it over here in the corner. Okay, your body only has so many corners. And one of them is that bloated stomach that you have. And that's why it's bloated. And it keeps getting bigger and bigger. Then your rear end gets bigger and bigger. And then your thighs get, with what your body is telling you, this is junk. This is not a junkyard, but you have made your entire body a junkyard, and it's affecting your mind too. All right? And so your mind becomes a junkyard, right behind all these failures in your body to handle all of this junk that the system that we're in keeps serving us. Now, I gave a kind of cartoonish illustration, but that's the way I've been led to believe, and I believe it's true. I have felt evidence of it, starting with my teeth at a very early age. I used to eat candy bars all day, and my teeth started showing it, saying, hey, you know, hey, candy? No, please, stop it. I can't handle it. And I'm just going to sit down on you. I mean, in fact, I'm checking out. So, you know, you can have the dentist just pull me. I know I ain't working here no more. Take this job and you know what.
All right. All righty. Corey, my man, thank you. And let me see. Let's see, Corey. Oh, I hope that satisfies your question there, Corey. And thank you for being a loyal listener. Okay, let's break this off here. You are listening to the Counter Racist Code Show with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr., and I am your co-host, Mr. Bobby. We, both of us, thank you very much and are appreciative of all your calls and all your Gmails and concerns, and we thank you. Now, for those new to the program, this is what we want you to do if you would like to be our participant in the program. Just dial up this number, which is 516-453-9921. And if you have a question or comment, just press the number 1 button and just wait until someone comes on the line. Please, sir, give them your name so that Mr. Bobby can do his best to try to correct or properly pronounce it. I already acknowledge I have problems with it, and I'm trying to overcome that. Now, if you're a new caller, new to the program, just make sure, first-time caller, just tell the person that you are a new caller, and they will set it up so that I can acknowledge you and get your call in, so you can do that. You can join the chatters in the chat room. Go to blogtalkradio.com. blogtalkradio.com. You want to click on programs, and then when you get that menu, then the list of shows will come up, and you want the produced Justice Show. Produce Justice Show. You click on that, and the chat room icon is available for you to get in there, and you can get in there. And occasionally something is said in the chat room that I might want to form a question from it, and if it's a quote from you, I will acknowledge the quote, because we do this on this program, stand by your work. So I will acknowledge that, but then a lot of times I will formulate my own question, but give you some credit, in there, because the idea or thought came from you, and then have Mr. Fuller address the question. Ready. Now, books. We were told, Mr. Fuller and myself, he's in D.C. and I'm in Ohio, Reynoldsburg, Ohio to be exact. But anyway, we were told this morning that issue, the books will be shipped out this Friday. So if you had an issue with not receiving your books from the top, that's what we were told, it is being addressed, and a certain person is going to make sure, I have it on record, that this person is going to make sure that these are done. So if you have an issue or had an issue with that, then that's going to be solved. Now, to the brother that was speaking from South Africa, now I don't know about that. If there's distribution down in South Africa, I understand that he indicated that the authorities or someone down there in power took his book away from him. So I don't know if the distribution reaches down there, but if he can make an effort to try and get those books, maybe something can be worked out. But don't hold me to that as a promise, because I try not to make any promises. But we want to get that book out. Thank you, Monica in Buffalo, for having that book in that library. That's very important. I understand one copy's in there, but at least it is there. Okay, and for the rest, don't forget you can get the books by going to producejustice.com, because Mr. Fuller and to a large part my credibility is online, as we addressed an issue this morning that somebody wrote in about hoping that it's a real person that actually did that, because sometimes, as you well know, usual suspects get involved and they sound like they are real, but they are not, to try to trip Fuller or even myself up, but you follow the code, you understand these things. You don't run away from them, you face them. That's what part of the learning process in the code, as Mr. Fuller says, but not because Mr. Fuller says this, but we're still learning, or I'm still learning. Okay, let's get with this. Mr. Fuller, in discussions this week, and I'm now I can't assume that you heard about this or even saw the video, but there's a fever going on about, I'll put it in Black Tony's words, the execution of Sonia, and her last name escapes me. I had it right here, but it kind of disturbed me. But here it is, Sonia Massey, I'm sorry, thank you, from Springfield, Illinois. Are you familiar with that, Mr. Fuller?
I saw something on television. The lady with the water pot.
That's correct, Mr. Fuller. That's correct.
Yeah, I saw that news, that broadcast a couple of times.
Well, Black Tony indicated that, by the way, I guess there's a couple of Black Tonys, but Black Tony indicated it looked like a public execution by a sheriff officer. And according to the video that I saw, she didn't fight, she didn't fuss, she didn't flee. As a matter of fact, she bent down. And Ben Crump, the civil rights lawyer, indicated that the shot that killed her, she was shot in I think it was the left eye, and came out during her neck or someplace like that. But it looked like a public execution. The group wanted to know, what was your thoughts on that, Mr. Fuller?
Well, this type of thing happens in the system of white supremacy. Death is a thing that is worshipped in the system of white supremacy. giving life is something that's, well, it's just sort of like a fluke. But you got to have it in order to have death. So the only thing that the white supremacists like about life is that you got to have life in order to have death. I mean, if you don't have life, you can't have something that's dying or made to die, because the white supremacists love death. Even if it's killing other white supremacists, they love death. They love body counts. I mean, that's something, I guess, that some of them made up. I mean, death is just a wonderful thing. There's no experience. It's nothing that people are supposed to enjoy unless it's connected with making death, being dead. This is a joyous occasion. In the Middle East, in Africa, and any place on the planet. How many dead bodies? Oh, my goodness. No dead bodies? People just what you call enjoying life can't have that. In Rwanda, all those black people moving around, I mean, having some kind of life. They have problems, but we're put here to solve problems in a civilized manner. But, hey, when do we get a chance to kill somebody? When does the killing start? Oh, I mean, you know, everything is boring. Get these black people to killing each other, carjacking and all like that. I mean, tell these black ladies to have just enough people coming from their womb for us to stand in line and get a chance to kill them. Because we're going to kill them. And we enjoy it. And we don't see why they don't enjoy it.
Yes,
but we got enough of them that do enjoy it. But maybe on the other hand, maybe not enough. I mean, they all should enjoy killing each other, because we sure enjoy looking at it. So it's the same thing. These are my thoughts on Miss Massey. So what we have to be taught is, and I was looking at the scene and whatnot, I say, now, what will I have done, all right, if I was the person holding the gun? Well, if they give me any leeway at all, I would back out of that situation altogether and call for backup, and we just surround the situation until we could get someone who, first of all, knew how to handle situations where the mind is involved.
Okay, now,
you say, well,
there was another person there. There was another person there. That person also was holding a weapon.
Oh, well, who was that person? I didn't hear about it.
I believe it was another officer that was there, or someone holding the camera, because the alleged, and I use that.
Yes. Well,
person.
both of them should have gone back to, if they came in a squad car, what you call a squad car, go back and report the situation and say, we need about 5 more people or more, and we'll just sit this one out and bring along someone who knows how to handle a mental situation, because this is what this looks like. I'm supposed to be able to detect that. I'm supposed to be able to train for that.
Okay.
Now, if nobody gave me any training for that, then we have to look at the whole system of policing in that particular place. I understand that.
Okay.
Right. Now, that's the way I saw it, and that's the way I would say most situations are like this.
Yes.
Well,
now, this person that shot her, I think under the qualified immunity may get off, or he did plead not guilty, although you saw what you saw. But anyway, it was qualified immunity, and I didn't really understand that term, but it said in the United States, qualified immunity is a legal principle of federal constitutional law that grants government officials performing discretionary functions immunity from lawsuits for damages unless the plaintiff, which she's deceased now, shows that the official violated, quote, clearly established statutory or constitutional rights of which a reasonable person would have known. In the quote.
Reasonable person.
Yeah,
words
that's what it
are
says
very
here.
important.
Yes.
No.
It says it is comparable to sovereign immunity, though it protects government employees rather than the government itself. It is less restrict than absolute immunity by protecting officials who make reasonable but mistaken judgment about open legal questions, extending to all officials but plainly incompetent or those who knowingly violate the law. Qualified immunity applies only to government officials in civil litigation and does not protect the government itself from suits arising from officials' actions. Well, a lot of people saw that Ben Crump is going to represent her and file suit against that. The person is, I understand, in jail, but who knows what that means because the what is that? Their union is for him, or he had a reasonable doubt that whatever she was doing, I guess he felt his life was in danger. I guess a pot of boiling hot water, and she's down on her knees. Okay. Well, anyway, people wanted to know what you thought about that. So Black Tony was asked, and Fuller gave his opinion on that. You can take that for what it is worth. Okay, new callers on the line, so we're going to get to you. Dollar Bill, you hold off because we got some new people in here. I know, yeah, you'll do that. Let's go out to the left coast. Terrence in Sacramento. Let me see. Okay, Terrence, good morning. Thank you for holding, and you are on with Mr. Fuller. What is your question?
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Fuller, Mr. Bobby.
Yes, sir.
I am also still learning. So I am a first-time caller, and my question is, so I own 2 6,000-square-foot commercial buildings. I am building a community of black empowerment. How can I inform black people on how to build for themselves and for their children and grandchildren without making them feel afraid or nervous of who they are, or making them question, are these buildings too black for me and my children?
Okay. Mr. Fuller?
Okay.
Well, I have to know a whole lot of details, but basically I would just say go to the textbook and just read it and see what you think in the area of whatever you can find in the textbook, including all the quotes that's in the back. I mean, about different things. And any specific questions, I would say, well, what I call the big four. Health. If I'm going to have a healthy situation, I'm not going to have people who are just in a section of town like where black people usually are, where the same kind of things that go on wherever black people are go on there. It would be a different flavor altogether. Starting with health. I would start with the health of the people. If I was starting from scratch in anything, you want people to be mentally and physically healthy. And they're not going to be physically healthy unless they're mentally healthy. So the emphasis would be on health, housing, education, gotta have that. I mean, I call it the big four.
Mm-hmm.
Even for reparations, the big four: health,
and the
housing, education, and transportation.
Transportation, yes.
Transportation.
Okay.
That's the big four in anything.
Okay.
When you go into any situation, that's what you want. You want to have that all sealed up, starting with health. Now, health also includes what I talked about earlier, and that is food.
Food, yes.
Now, one thing I would have in that place is that every restaurant would say, we don't have anything in any of our restaurants, in of our cafes, food trucks, and all like that, that is not 100% healthy for your body. Don't, we don't have death burgers here. I mean, we have life-giving soup, bean soup, healthy soup. Every sandwich that we have is a veggie sandwich of some type. It might look like what you're used to, because if it doesn't look like what you're used to, you ain't going to buy it. All right? Yeah. We already know that. All right? So that's part of our mental health, too. So if you're going to get one of our burgers, it's going to be a veggie burger, but you're not going to be able to tell the difference between this is all pure vegetables with no weird sauces or anything like that, but it's going to taste great. Otherwise, you ain't going to eat it. All right?
All righty.
I just want to make these additions to what I'm talking about. You know, we if this is what you're going to do, and you have this type of acreage, you just say this is sort of like an oasis. So it's got to be well thought out. It can't be what you call traditional black culture.
Yeah, traditional, right. Okay.
Because right from the food alone, that's junk food.
That's junk food. All right. Let's see. Terrence, let me ask you this question here. Did I understand you to say that you are the landowner of this property?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The reason why I asked you that is because in discussions this week, we had a discussion about who's your daddy, meaning that you may own the house, but the house is on the land. And so you have people that I guess are going to be paying you with all their taxes and so forth included in that. But you are the property owner, so you pay taxes to the state. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So I own both. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mr. Biden.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just saying that I flat out own both of the buildings, and so I was going to rent out some of the spaces, but also hold events as well, empowering events, of course.
Yeah. Okay. Now, but if you don't pay the property taxes on that, who does that go to? Who does that go to?
Right. That goes to the state, to the city, of course.
So, I guess the point I was getting at, who's your dad? Who do we really own? They have taught us to pay off our houses, but the houses have to sit somewhere on the land, and any time they want to, and I'm using air quotes, they can confiscate that, particularly
That's true. Yes, sir.
with the writ of habeas corpus if they want that property. Again, who's your daddy?
You're right.
Bring this up. Right. Yeah, and I bring this up because of the federal, and you might be familiar with this, Mr. Fuller, the Federal Aid 1952 Highway Act and what they did, in particular through, it's in the background here and some noise there, they did
I'm sorry.
particularly in black communities where they destroyed that and came on through, they can do that. So again, and I'm saying this facetiously, who's your daddy? What do you really own?
You're absolutely correct.
What do you really own?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, sir.
No, you're fine. I was just saying that you're absolutely correct.
Yeah.
And I own it, but there's almost as if saying as if I'm just the general manager of it.
That's correct.
But exactly.
Yes.
So.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Fuller, before I let him go, did you have a comment you want to make on that?
That's it. When he said that, Yes, he said what he said. He said he's the general manager of it. This is correct, because in the system of white supremacy, I don't care if you're in Kenya or Nairobi or wherever you are, if you're black, you don't own anything.
That's it. You don't.
You're not the owner. You might have that label, but they're not telling the truth, because you don't own yourself. You're in the system of white supremacy. You're a prisoner of war. A prisoner of war who's running a cafe inside the prison is a prisoner of war running a cafe inside of a prison. But the power is in the prison masters.
Yes.
And they come around and say, hey, I know you got your little operation where you sell food on the side that you got from the warehouse, which is where you work.
They sure do. They sure do.
We allow you to have that, but always keep in mind, this is something we allow you to do. And we can change it with a snap of a finger. And I've seen this happen, and I've experienced it. My father, I was born into a situation where Neely Fuller Sr., at the time I was born, had a cafe, a 47-room hotel, a vacant lot out back, and some farmland, and a pool hall, a beauty parlor, they call it, also, and a meat market that he rented out to a person that, was a renter. All at the same time. The white supremacists just sat back, let it gel, build up, and whatnot. Then they knocked it all down.
They knocked it all down. Yes.
And they knew they were going to do that when he was building. Oh, just keep on huffing and puffing, Neely Fuller Sr., and thinking that you're a businessman. You got another thought coming in your thick black head.
Like I said, who's your daddy?
Yeah.
All righty. Hey, Terrence in Sacramento, since you're a new caller, don't be a stranger, and thank you for that information. Okay, we got Pure Heart here, and then we got Dollarville and some others. Oh, yeah. This is a hot program this morning. Many on stay on the line. You know the number, 516-453-9921. Tell you what we're going to do. We're going to take a break here and then start the second hour a little early. So for those who have to go, I owe you 2 minutes for next week, but for those who have to go, thank you for listening to the program. Remember the things that were said concerning the books that will be shipped out Friday if you were having an issue with that. That's being taken care of. Fuller and myself got the word on that, and then we exposed it and set it over the air so that you can hear. You can hear. All righty. So we thank you for listening. Hey, forgive me. I'm asking for any mistakes that I've made, and God knows I make a lot of mistakes, but I'm trying to get better, still learning. For those of you who have to go, okay, come back next week, especially you out in California. But for those who will be here today, stick and stay. Don't go away. We'll be back in 10 seconds. All righty. Welcome, Black, and thank you for hanging on. Pause for the cause. This is the second hour of the Counter-Racist Code Show with Mr. Neely Fuller, Jr., and we thank you for tuning in and listening to today's program. Got an exciting hour waiting on you with some issues that we are going to discuss. If you missed the first hour, please, ma'am, please, sir, go back and listen to it, glean as much information that you can off of that, because certain things were addressed as certain things in this will be in this hour will be addressed. I want to thank that brother from California that just called in, which prompted me to give you a tip, if I have time, on wealth, how to get it that you already have it. I'm going to, if I will, expose it. I'm talking to a professional right now before I completely expose it, but to give you concrete information on what to do, what the so-called rich folk do, so that we can have that. But anyway, we'll do all that. Books, yes. ProduceJustice.com. That's where you go to get the books. ProduceJustice.com. Mr. Fuller got involved in it, and some heads are shaking. Oh, yeah. We're going to get up on that. We were both told this morning that issue that they were having with that is going to be resolved firmly, and that came from the top. That's what we were told. So that's going to be done. But books you get, yes, going to ProduceJustice.com. ProduceJustice.com. I think that is it. Oh, yeah. Hey, listen, don't forget, for those who want to join the chat room, I got to do that. This is how you do that. Go to blogtalkradio.com. Okay? You want to click on programs. Once you get that menu, then you want to go where it says shows. And the show you want is the Produce Justice Show. You get that, and then a little box becomes available for you to join the chat room, and you can get in there. And there's some people in that chat room. Yes, there are some people in there today. There's some people online, too. Wow. Good. Do that. And now, when you're in there, please, ma'am, please, sir, that's not the place to ask me a question, to ask Mr. Fuller. That's just not going to happen. But the chatters do have some good information in there, and you can glean that. Now, if you want me to ask your question, you can do that by Gmailing me at the numeral 7, Mr. Bobby, MRBOBBY, @gmail.com, and I will get that, and I will read it, and I will let you know. I'm trying to get to a couple a day, but the calls and the explanations have been just so wonderful in distribution of information that is needed on this program. Okay. I think that's it. ProduceJustice.com for the books, don't forget, or any other information. Okay. Get ready. We're going down to Alabama. Oh, yeah. Pure Heart, get ready. I'm getting ready to put this cursor over there so we can get you on. Let's see here. Okay, Pure Heart for Alabama. Good morning, and what is your question?
Hey, good morning, Mr. Bobby. Good morning, Mr. Fuller. Can you guys hear me pretty well?
Yes, sir. Yeah, you're doing good.
Okay. All right. I have one question and one BZQ. Is that okay?
Yeah. Quickly though. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. My question from Neely Fuller is, Neely Fuller, I'm one of the listeners that kind of hang on to your every word. And last week, when Mr. Bobby asked you the question, have you ever visited the church that's inside of you? And you was saying yes, because that's what church is now. But Mr. Bobby kind of cut you off, and I understand, Bobby. It happens, I understand the hosting part. But my question is, Neely Fuller, can you remember what you was about to say last week when you were saying that?
No, I don't. I remember vaguely church is mentioned, but I described my religion in the textbook. Eclectic pluralism. That's the name of it, because that's what I ask people when we start talking about religion. What's the name of your religion? Most religions have names. So I'll ask a person, if we're going to talk about religion, first thing I want to know is, what's the name of your religion? Because I've never heard of a religion that didn't have a name. Might be some that don't, but most religions, I understand, have some kind of name, some kind of identifying mark. Okay, so the question is, what's the name of your religion, sir or ma'am? And the person will answer, presumably. And you have the name. Say, all right, second question, what does your religion require you to do in all areas of activity? Economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, that's other people's religions, sex, and war. In other words, the 9 areas of activity. Because if you have a religion, there are requirements. I never heard of a religion that didn't have requirements in order to be identified as a religion. So I just want to know, what does your religion, it's your religion, so you should be familiar with what your religion requires you to do. To do about what? About every situation. That's what a religion is. Now, number 3, and this is really important. They're all important, but this is really. What does your religion require you to do when you interact with me in all of these areas of activity, starting with economics, then education, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? And that's all I want to know. Why? So I know what to expect. See, when I see you coming, I say, oh, you have that religion that requires you to shoot me. That might be a part of your religion. Oh, my religion requires me to kill black people. And every chance that I get, that I can get away with. Okay? If I can't get away with it, you're good to go. But if I can get away with it, I'm going to do it first chance I get. So you can depend on that. Neely Fuller. My religion requires me to do that. Or my religion requires me to cheat you out of your money. If you got any. And if you get any, it requires me to figure out how to get it. Otherwise, you're nothing to me. Period. Your religion requires you to do that? Thank you very much. I know what to expect when I see you coming. But that's all I want to know. That's all I need to know.
I hear you.
Yeah, I'm not going to ask you no more questions about your religion because you have answered my 3 questions. And if everybody on the planet does that, because I advocate that everybody does it, just find out what the person's religion is. And find out what does their religion require them to do, even when I'm not around or anything. And then what does your religion require you to do, sir or ma'am, when you interact with me? Now, I don't need to know that. I don't need to know the history of your religion or nothing like that. I don't even want to hear it. I mean, you know, it might be interesting. I'm not going to turn it down. I'll accept all knowledge, but that's not essential. How you interact with me. You say, well, don't you want to know how I interact with God? No, I don't.
Okay.
That's between you and your Creator, just like I do. I don't have to go through you.
Okay.
Once I know, you know, that I have a Creator and I establish some type of rapport, I go to that Creator.
Okay. Pure Heart, what was your VGQ?
Okay, my VGQ was, I was just going to say, I was just going to say, I look at this, what Neely Fuller is doing, as if we was on the villages in Africa and the chiefs and, you know, those used to get in the circle and speak. He's like that now. He's like, is that for us now? Even though we're doing it in a different way, even though we're listening on phones and, you know, computers and stuff like that. But
yes, sir.
That's how I view what Neely Fuller is doing now. And I thank you guys for all that you're doing. Thank you again.
Hey, one question before you go. Are you a believer in I'm sorry, are you a believer in the Bible?
Well, I was brought up to be a Christian. You know, if that's what you're asking me, I was brought up to believe in Jesus Christ. But you know, now yeah, go ahead.
I understand. Okay, the reason why I asked you that, since you are a believer, and I don't want to be offensive to you, but when Mr. Fuller and this is for me also, speaking about the church, and I'm still learning also. According to the King James Version, there are other versions of the Bible, but in 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 19, when Paul was speaking to the church at Corinthians, he indicated to them, he said, don't you know or don't you understand that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit and that the Spirit of God dwells within you? That makes you the church. Now, it took me a long time to understand that. That is a treasure that is inside of you, that the angels even marvel at, that God himself would come inside your body through the Holy Spirit. But anyway, you know, that's for you to check that out. But since you are, a Christian, check that out and see what that does for you. Anyway, don't be a stranger, man. You call in again, Pure Heart, and we do thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, sir. Okay, let's see here, Mr. Fuller. I had a Gmail that I said I would get to. Oh, okay. We're going to get to you, Dollar Bill. It looks like Victor on there, and Talif is on the line. Yeah, okay. Anyway, we'll do this. Says this. Hello, Mr. Bobby. Please ask Mr. Fuller this question. Okay. Excluding us black victims of white supremacy, I have concluded, Mr. Fuller, that the majority of so-called non-white people are now accepted as, quote, variations of white people, end of quote, specifically in the Western Hemisphere and in the Northwestern Hemisphere. This status allows them to dominate black people in all 9 areas of people activity. Now, using his compensatory racial classifications and evidence of how these so-called non-white people, parenthesize now, excluding black people, into parentheses, have been allowed to function post-civil rights movement, circa 1968, Mr. Fuller, would it be logical to suspect these so-called non-white people of being, quote, variations of white people and or white supremacists? Regards, Nathaniel.
I'm not familiar with the classification. That's why in the code book I said it's just 3.
Uh-huh.
White people, non-white people, and white supremacists. That's it. Now, if you're a white person, you should be suspected of being a white supremacist in a white supremacist system. But you first of all have to be classified as white. Now, if you're classified as something else other than white, non-white, white supremacists, I don't know what to say about that, because it's not the 3 classifications according to the truth, functionally. You're either white or you're not. There's no such thing as a variation of white on that list. That's the list that I can put together. That's according to what I've written, Neely Fuller. I stick with that because I haven't found any reason to add to it. Now, according to the census in the Northwestern Hemisphere, it's something like 21 classifications of what you call racial classifications.
That's right.
I still have 3. And I think the census, what they call the United States Census, they have something like 21, 23, something like that.
Yes.
The last time I checked. You can look it up, probably, on the internet, if you're tuned in to that. and look up all of the different classifications called some other race. They even have that one, some other race. If I was walking down the street and I passed a person and I asked, and I have done this, ask myself, now, if I'm looking for a person and I just saw a person pass by me and I had to, for all the money in the world, answer the question accurately, what characteristics does a person have to be some other race?
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't know what to say. If someone would introduce me to someone right this minute and say, this person is some other race, for now, do you know what some other race looks like? I would say, well, I would have to start with what you just gave me. Some other race is somebody that looks like this person here, who looks to me like is a black person. I went to school with him. He's raised up next door to me. Mother's black, father's black, everybody in his family is black, and he's black. Now you're telling me he's some other race. Well, is black non-white? Yeah, black sure ain't no white. It's there is a significant difference.
Mm-hmm.
I say, yeah, well, he looks like he's black. But you say he's some other race. Some other race based on what? Or some other race. Did you get it through your thick skull? Some other race. I say, that's a classification? Yeah. And I'm telling you, this person is some other race. I know this person too. I live on the other side of the street. Now, I grew up around this person. This person is some other race. And what am I going to say? Well, what did the person say about themselves? Well, they were black. Well, I said, oh, no, you're some other race.
Some other race.
Yeah,
okay.
So that argument can go on and on and on, it looks like to me. That can go on into infinity. But that is a classification in the census. Some other race.
Some other race. Okay.
I have no idea what that looks like.
Yeah, I might be number 22 now. I don't know what it is. It's just so many of them. I know one thing, though. It does cause confusion. Matter of fact, I heard somebody on MSNBC mention about, what is that, Asian Pacific or whatever it was.
Oh, Asian Pacific Islander.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been in the Pacific. Am I an Asian Pacific Islander? Because I've been on islands. I've been to Guam. Okay, but my classification for many years was colored, Negro, black, African American. Man. Of course, these are classifications that the white supremacists gave me. That's what racism is about, classifying people by race. Actually, if justice be done, there's no such thing as race or racism.
It's funny.
It's not supposed to be.
No,
you don't classify people by color, except to say that they have color.
Right. But based on the evidence that you just given, that seems to be the classification of confusion. That's what that is like.
Yes. That's why it has lasted so long.
Yeah.
These classifications have stabilized and institutionalized something called racism. It never should have existed in the first place.
In the first place, exactly. Okay. All righty, let's go to the dollar for the holler. All right, Dollar Bill, here you go. You're on with Mr. Fuller. What is your question?
Good morning.
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir.
Yes, indeed. I'm going to keep it a little simple for y'all today. I just want to say thank you to everybody. Remember, good health, like you said, Mr. Fuller, eating properly, going to the doctor. Man, I just went to the doctor the other day, had my teeth done. I'm very happy to have all my teeth still at my old age. So I'm just very proud of that. My system is doing quite fine.
Did you get that prostrate thing checked?
Oh, man, let me
yes or no, did you get it checked?
Yes, sir. Yes,
all
sir.
right, you're doing good. All right, good.
Excellent,
go ahead, brother.
Excellent so far. Thank you.
Good.
I wanted to talk to you guys about something that's been coming up in a lot of the rooms. And Mr. Fuller, you touched on it, being this classification thing. And I was, they talk about like the sleeping generation, the boomers, the Generation X, and the millennials.
Mm-hmm.
And what they're saying is that the sleepers, they slept. And the boomers, they made money from the system, and then they forgot to keep it going. They're saying that the Gen X, they came up with things like hip-hop and things to fight the system. Whereas the people before them, they gave up, and now it's just, hey, just give me my health care. So I was wondering, Mr. Fuller, why? Okay, so this is really the question.
Okay.
Many people are delineating the Black Americans who have been here, foundational, whatever you want to call them, American descendants of slaves. They're delineating from every other black person to say that they should get reparations, but everybody else is getting mad at them for delineating. But they have been delineating for themselves in their own little circles, like Jamaicans or Dominicans or whatever. They have made their own delineation, and they have tried to attach themselves onto what the Black American has gotten. So the Black American could not reap the rewards that it fought for.
Okay, so what's the setup there? What's the question for Fuller there?
Yeah, here we go. The question is, should we be delineating ourselves from others to make sure that we get what is owed to us?
No. I'll tell you what the code says. And it's the slogan for this website. Produce justice. That's the key. Now, what is justice? Guaranteeing that no person is mistreated. That's all you got to do. This whole thing about reparations is going to keep getting complicated beyond belief, the way people are talking about it now. It's going to be all of this and that and a whole bunch of this over yonder and all this. It's going to be all chopped up and you ain't going to recognize the people even know what they're talking about because they practically don't now. All right? We haven't even scratched the surface of going down this incorrect road, in my opinion, of everything I've heard about what we call so-called reparations. I haven't heard nothing that looks like, first of all, it will work the way people are going about doing it. But I'm saying it's basically very simple. Just produce justice. Now, what is justice? Guaranteeing that no person on the planet is mistreated, not for 5 minutes. That's a tall order. And number two, guaranteeing that the person that needs help the most gets the most constructive help. And that includes every white person on the planet in what you call reparations, because we all need repairing. All right? That's the only way to look at it to make sense. Yes. That's the only way. When you say reparations, talking about the Japanese internment and black people who, the Chinese that built the railroads and black people who were enslaved up until 1865, and those that came before then, and those that came after then, and all that nonsense, which is what the code calls it, and say, just go for the jugular. Don't be tiptoeing around and fooling around. Just produce justice. Everybody that needs help, constructive results, gets it.
Gets it, yes.
Yeah, do that right now, right this minute. Everybody that needs help gets it. And everybody who is being mistreated, stop the mistreatment now. Right this minute. Reparations, that's what it is. We all are in need of repair. And try to pick and choose how much repairing. Well, this guy gets $15 because he didn't do this and he didn't do that. And this one down the hall, he's going to get $35,000 on account of he really had to go. No. This is the first day of the universe, this very moment. And so just start out right now the way it should have been when the first day in the universe appeared among people on planet Earth. All right? And just like Spike Lee said, as the title of one of his outstanding movies, do the right thing.
Do the right thing, yeah.
Simple. Simple. Yeah. Not all this bureaucracy, because that's what you're going to, after the legislators and whatnot, oh, man, we're going to be talking forever and fighting forever. Because reparations, the way everybody's talking about it right now, ain't going to do nothing but make all the white people mad. And then we're going to fight and fight and fight and fight and fight in ad infinitum. Unless the white supremacists, if you do it the way they want it done, give those black people cash. Because they're used to cash. Once they see them Benjamins flowing, they're going to go crazy. All right?
Okay.
And everything that they're going to buy, they're going to have to buy it from me. And I'm going to jack the price up on every last one of them, and I'll have it all back on the day that they get it. When they get ready to buy a car, which they will do, they're going to buy it from me. The white supremacists already say, these are the dumbest people in the world. They want cash. Oh, hey, I know all about cash. I invented cash. You know?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
I got Jackson's picture on the best cash in the world.
Oh yeah, they got them all on there.
Slave owner, and that's what. And if you become cash crazy, oh boy, I got you.
They call them the founding fathers, but I like what Reverend Jeremiah Wright says, and he had the evidence to prove it. He called them fondling fathers, and he mentioned Thomas Jefferson and all that.
Thomas Jefferson, Andrew Jackson.
Yeah, there you go.
Like
Ray
Charles even talks about it. Well, If Washington, in that song, he says something about if Washington don't get it, Jackson will sure do it on that $20 bill.
Jefferson, Hey, before we go to break,
Thomas Jefferson now, oddly enough, is on the $2 bill. When's the last time you saw a $2 bill?
He liked him some Sally Hemings, didn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Okay. Me and Sally.
Right. Me and
you want some cash? Look us up. We are rare.
Yeah. Before we go to break, and many of you already know this experiment, but if you have a quarter, let's see, a dime, a nickel, and a penny, put those on the table. Put them on the table. That quarter, that dime, that nickel, and that penny. Now, the first thing you're going to notice is that silver color. Of course, it's kind of messed up now, but that silver color, that's the first thing you're going to notice, okay? Now, notice the heads of the quarter, the dime, and a nickel. Look at the way that they're pointing. But look at the head of the penny. Which way is it pointing? Might tell you something. Anyway, you're listening to the Counter Racist Code Show with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr., and we thank you for listening to the program. We got about a half an hour left in the day's program, so if you want to call, and we certainly appreciate it, here's the number, 516-453-9921. And then when you call that number and someone answered the phone, give them your name so that Mr. Bobby can properly say your name without messing up. Yeah, which I'm going to mess up anyway. But you do that, and then that way you can get on. And if you're a first-time caller, make sure you tell the call person that you are a first-time caller and that we'll give you priority status. In the first hour and at the top of this hour, we addressed the issues that we were having in the distribution of the code book that you can get by going to producejustice.com. For those of you who are just on, here's the announcement. Friday, everybody say Friday. Friday. Mr. Fuller and myself got it from the top that those books, so that the issue has been solved, and those books will be mailed out Friday. You heard me say it. It was told to me and Mr. Fuller, or Mr. Fuller and I, whatever. We were told that this morning, so that issue's been addressed. If you're having problems or had problems with it, it's good. Now, that my brother down in South Africa, and I don't know about that. I know you said that they confiscated your book. I don't know if a distribution goes that far or whatever, but you write in and maybe something can be done. But I can't make any promises, about that. But since you do listen to the program, hey, try it out. Go to producejustice.com, everybody else. Producejustice.com. Okay, and I haven't forgotten. I wanted to. Mr. Fuller had mentioned something about a will and write it out and so forth. Well, I've been speaking with a professional, about this. Wills and trust and so forth, and I'm not going to expose all the information unless I have a reasonable surety how to, not only how to get wealth, but how to keep wealth. And I'm speaking with a professional about that. It's going on the third week now about that. And many of you have one of the keys to it right now through your insurance policy. Yeah, making it a trust. That's all I'm going to tell you right now, but making it a trust and then developing that. But if you can, you need to talk with a professional that specializes in that, and you can do like the wealthy people do in this family, like the Rockefellers or the others that were mentioned, their names, that have money and keep wealth, generational wealth, instead of the generational poverty that we've been assigned to. But I'm still learning that. And as I get more information on how to do that, then I will share that with you so that probate doesn't take all your money upon your death and all that kind of thing. But you can keep that going in your family and teach it to your other family members. But anyway, that's another thing. As soon as I find out more information, I'll relay that to you. Dollar Bill, thank you for being there. Let's go to the brother in Youngstown. All right, Talif, give me your question coming up here. Good morning, Talif. You're on with Mr. Fuller.
Good morning, Mr. Bobby, Mr. Fuller,
yes,
the audience. Okay, really quick. You don't need to pay a professional, BGQ. There's something called Modern Money Mechanics that was written by the Federal Reserve in 1969. Tells you how this money system works. Familiarize yourself with the Uniform Commercial Code and the Code of Federal Regulations. You can familiarize, you can make yourself and your family as much as you can in this system operate, grow your own food, and they also have books called the Dictionary Finance and Investment Terms, Dictionary Real Estate Terms. So you can open your mind to do that. You don't need a professional unless you just don't understand the wording. They're very easy to read. Those were the books that I gave to my son when they were kids. I didn't give them toys and stuff like that. They traveled, seen the world, and they got books. And my son is 29. He's already retired, helping me run my company. But
all right.
I just want to put that out. And my other son is 23. He works for himself.
All right.
Because my dad did that with us. And also, Mr. Fuller, I know you answered the question of the guy about the religion, but something I haven't heard you use in a long time. I heard you say years ago. You used to always tell people when you meet somebody, make your intentions known from the beginning. And that was something else that I thought about. And before I get to my question, I think I sent it to you, Mr. Bobby. It's something I've been telling people about since I was a kid. Mr. Fuller, since we have all these so-called police shootings and whatnot, and it always gets revved up when it comes time for election time, it had something that was called the Casual Killing Act. People study that. That was something that came out in 1669 that said if you were basically a slave or so-called black or Negro, and if you were corrected by your master or anybody in power and you died as a result of that, then it was not seen as a felony. It's still going on till this day. It's called the Casual Killing Act, and there was also something called the Christian Black Slave Codes, and that was my VGQ. But my question, Mr. Fuller, and I hope everybody gets it, the stuff I'm telling you. I do I'm going to start doing it more. I do a free conference call once or twice a week. I give the number out for you can listen in on the code. If you can't listen, if you're at work, anybody can listen in. I give this information all the time. But, Mr. Fuller, I was watching something, and I don't think that people get it, but you always kind of say this in a lot of different forms. They had this big push to get, at first their master was Joe Biden. Some of their masters is Donald Trump. But the big thing, the big push now is to get Kamala Harris in office or either get her nominated. Well, they had a bunch of sorority sisters and fraternity brothers that raised so-called money, but I guess they had a so-called white person on TV talked about had a speech for the sororities or fraternities or whatever, and this guy who has a channel called Roland Martin said, well, they don't understand us. Well, Mr. Fuller, could you please explain to the people that may not know, yes, they understand us quite a lot because they do nothing but study us. That's why they're able to keep their foot on our neck. For the people that don't think that they don't understand us, Mr. Fuller, these people that control the world, in your own words, according to the code and logic, yes, they do study us. And Mr. Fuller, can you express to the people that's why they treat us the way they do, because they do nothing but study us. And I appreciate your call. Mr. Bobby, Mr. Fuller, thank you for being healthy.
I'm going to keep you on the line there.
Okay.
I'm going to keep you on the line. All right, go ahead, Mr. Fuller.
Well, that's why I wrote my book. They're the most powerful minds in the world. They're the smartest people in the world. Lots of people don't like that, but truth is true. Anybody who I am completely dependent on for everything in every area of activity, economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war, anybody who I am completely dependent on in all of these areas of activity, by logic, not by feeling, by logic, is smarter than me. Whomever I'm dependent on, they're smarter than me. They tell me what to do. I'm standing around just waiting to be told. Neely Fuller, you are now educated. Why? I'm giving you a piece of paper saying that you are. And if you don't get this piece of paper from me, you are not educated. How about that, boy?
Yeah.
Now, I got 3 or 4 certificates with my signature on it, because ain't nobody going to pay no attention to it unless it is. You are now educated. And I say, yeah, but I don't know nothing about capitalism. Oh, what did I just tell you? If I wanted you to know about being a capitalist, you'd be one. Duh. Now, get back on that assembly line where I put you.
Yeah.
You're wasting my time.
Yeah. All righty. Wow. You heard it. All right. All right. Thank you, Talif. Andrew, Kansas City. Get ready.
Hello.
Yes, you're there. Good.
Okay. I had I wanted to ask Mr. Fuller about do you envision people do you envision like a protege or proteges that will teach about the code like you currently do, after, because, like, do you envision people thinking, speaking, and acting on the compensatory code after you're passing away, and what does that look like?
All right, Ms. Fuller?
Constructive results. That's all I tell people, really. That's all. Yeah. Everything that I say every time. Those two words. Anything that you do, all Neely Fuller does is point to what's already there.
That's right.
That's all I do. I don't invent nothing. Even though I make up words and whatnot, but words, have been invented long ago. People have ways of communicating. I just fall into that line. But what am I? I'm a pointer. I'm pointing at something.
Exactly.
What is Neely Fuller pointing at on this program right now? I'm pointing at logic that came with the universe. So when you talk about carrying on somebody's legacy, it's not Neely Fuller's legacy. This
Correct.
is just information that's already there. It's in the universe. Mm-hmm. All you got to do is get focused on it, like Mr. Bobby says. Stay focused. Focused on what? Neely Fuller? Neely Fuller wears out. Logic doesn't.
Nope. Never has.
Logic is here. What is logic? Cause and effect.
Cause and effect.
And if you get a constructive result from whatever you do or say, that's what you call logic.
Exactly.
All right?
Exactly.
And keep doing it and saying it. Just like Mr. Talisa, I think that's his name, he said that he went through some books. Books, can give you some guidance depending on what book you choose. All right? And hopefully it's not some mystery novel about another murder.
Yes.
You use something to learn something that will produce what? Constructive result.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
Constructive. That's the only criteria. Neely Fuller is no criteria for anything. Never has been and never will be.
Never will be. That's exactly.
Or will be. I'm just
Andrew?
a person. I just point. There's an old cliche. Can't see the forest for the trees. All right. All Neely Fuller does is go down the road, and the person is standing there and said, "Hey, come over here, fella. I'm looking over here, and somebody told me that there was a forest over here. I don't see no forest. I've been standing here for about 3 hours, and I ain't seen no forest yet." And I say, "Well, why?" And they say, "Them trees are in the way." And then all Neely Fuller really does said, "Oh, sir, nobody may have told you this, but the forest and the trees are one and the same." Then it's like a bell going off.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was looking at it all the time. I said it was there all the time.
All
I did was just pointed to it and told you use words to change what you were thinking into something else that you are now thinking. You were looking for something that was already there. You were staring at it all the time. It's called logic.
It's called
cause
logic.
and effect.
Right.
Fire will burn, water's wet. That's all Neely Fuller does, is point to it.
And the proof, Andrew, is that you are waking up. Why? Because the evidence of your questions shows that you are asking questions. And the answer to, and that's what you have to do to get the answers.
Yes.
You got to ask questions, and that's what you are. That's what you're doing. So you are the, if you will, if you got to use the word legacy, it's already there. It's you, as Mr. Fuller just said. It's you. It's you. Thank you, Andrew, for your call. Appreciate it. Terry. Oh yeah, Terry. Let's go to Pittsburgh. We're gonna go to Pittsburgh and get Terry. Terry, you ready? Here we go.
Sure.
Terry, you are on with Mr. Fuller. Do your thing.
Good morning, Mr. Bobby. Good morning, Mr. Fuller.
Good morning, Terry.
I have a VGQ, and that is to say that there was a question about the classification of races and whether or not a non-white could be considered a racist if the behavior seems to indicate that. I believe my VGQ is that Mr. Fuller's classifications hold true and they hold classic. If you look at the house slave and the field slave, the way the house slave might treat the field slave is just a byproduct of white supremacy. If we're looking at the different shades of people of color, you might consider that to be just a crude form or a form of white supremacy called apartheid. Everybody that's of color is under the system of white supremacy, and they seem to know it inherently. But many of them will say, well, I'm red, I'm black, I'm red, I'm brown, I'm yellow, but at least I'm not black. And they may act accordingly to the certain gradations, if you will, that have been assigned to them by white supremacists. That's my point. That's my VGQ.
All right.
Thank you for allowing me to share that.
All right. Thank you, sir. All righty. Don't have a name here, but area code 646, you're on with Mr. Fuller. Go ahead with your question.
Hello?
Yeah, come on. What's your question?
Hey,
go ahead for Mr.
This
Fuller.
is Tess, by the way. Happy birthday,
Okay.
Mr. Bobby.
Okay. Yeah, you're on. Go ahead.
Mr. Fuller, you stated before on the show that racism is a mental illness. Would you consider the code a scientific method on how to cure it?
Well, the first step toward being sane is to know that you're insane. All right, how do you eliminate insanity? That's the next question. By questions and answers.
Questions and answers.
That's how you eliminate any kind of problem. Mental illness is a problem. So you ask questions. What's causing me to be mentally ill? Am I mentally ill? You might have 1,000 questions before you get one answer. But it's always questions and answers, because every inventor will let you know right quick the way that they came up with an invention was through the process of what?
Questions and
answers. That's what
right.
An inventor does. See, but under the system of white supremacy, black people have been trained to go around bragging about how smart they are. Black people do not, because we've been trained that way.
Yeah.
To talk about, and so we are almost anti-learn. We don't want to learn nothing because we know everything. And some people will tell you that. Oh, you can't tell me nothing. How many millions of times have I heard that? You can't tell me nothing. No, that's implying. I can't tell you nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know everything.
There's some background noise in there, but yeah, I don't know where that's coming from. But that person that just says that you can't tell them nothing. Do you remember this quote, Mr. Fuller, that said it would be better if someone looked at you and thought of you as being a fool than for you to open up your mouth and remove all doubt?
Yes. And Mark Twain said one that was in an Air Force manual that I never forgot.
What did he say?
He said, I was proud. Because people talk about pride, gender pride and all this. Pride is all over the place. But Mark Twain said, I was proud to be able to answer promptly.
Yeah.
And I did. I said I didn't know.
Okay.
Now, to me, that's a very wise statement, because the first step toward learning anything is to admit to yourself that you don't know.
Come on, boy, you just dropped some truth right there. I like that. That's true. In fact, you didn't know that you didn't know until you found out that you didn't know.
There you go. That's why Mark Twain, that grabbed me and it held on to me when he said it. Usually people like to stand up and show how much they know. But he said, I was proud to tell them. I didn't know.
I didn't know.
Tell me everything, because I don't know nothing.
Nothing. All
you
right.
come into the world not knowing anything.
Woo!
But if you, through the process of questions and answers, that's how you can learn everything that you need to know.
Still learning.
Still learning. That's why. That's my motto. Still
I like
learning.
that too. But we all still learning. Nicolette, get ready. She gonna put the legal stuff on us, Nicolette. Go ahead, girl, because I know you've been studying. Come on.
Okay, so good morning, Mr. Fuller. Good morning, Mr. Bobby. So this weekend I had a similar conversation to what we're having today. And so someone has said, the world is not black and white anymore. It's different stuff. And I said, under the code that I've been taught through the storyteller generation that taught me that as an X generation, I have a responsibility to uphold the torch. Until I see freedom, we still are in black and white. And in fact, if you correlation that with duality of opposites as the Chinese proverb use, yin and yang, you will see we are very black and white. So which brings me now to say this, that Mr. Fuller, I'm glad that the library here in Maryland is on its way to bring your book into circulation. They just brought in a loaner book that I would bring in, that I would have in my hands in 2 weeks, she said. And she said after that they will see how they can become circulation. So I'm glad that I'm always on code, because even the fact when you said, Mr. Bobby, about 1 Corinthians, about the Spirit, when I go to an organization, I say the same thing, that people don't pay attention. If God came in the form of human, then therefore he has to come and testify of what humans go through, so therefore the Spirit will be left to therefore be all places all at once to go back to the Creator. And we're not understanding that. And lastly, reparations. I'm with Mr. Fuller to a certain degree. Some people don't deserve money. It can be in the form of reparations of all people in low-income areas to have decent, fair housing, above fair housing, and us to have rec centers again. And then lastly, no disrespect to anybody, because, again, no president have more power than the Senate and the House of Representatives anyway. So with that, I close.
I like that. All right, Nicolette, thank you. Thank you. All right, let's go here to Canada. Oh, Canada. Here you go, Victor. You're on with Mr. Fuller. What is your question here in the remaining moments?
Oh, hi, Mr. Bobby, Mr. Fuller. I just had 2 questions and a VGQ.
Well, we don't have time for your 2 questions today, Victor, so you got to get one. Go ahead.
Okay, I wanted to know what was happening with my book. Because my book fell apart.
Victor, did you hear the announcement this morning when I made the announcement in the first hour and in the second hour?
Friday. Oh, man. I wasn't sure if that applied to me.
No, it required to everybody who's having issues with the book. It's be addressed Friday. Mr. Fuller and I were told that the books will be shipped on Friday. Anybody that's having a book issue, that's what's going on. That came from the top. That's what me and Mr. Fuller was told. So that's been resolved, and the delivery is going to start on Friday, or shipping will be started on Friday.
Oh, sounds great. Thank you, Mr. Fuller. I never had a chance to speak to Dr. Cress-Welting, but I'm really glad that I've had a chance to speak to you for all these years, because you really saved me from a lot of mess. Thank you, Mr. Fuller and Mr. Bobby.
All righty. You are welcome. All right. Thank you there, Victor. This is on the rebound. Are you still there, Dollar Bill, or do you have a holler, or the line is open? What's up?
Oh,
okay. Go ahead. Quickly.
No, I'm good, Mr. Bobby. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
No, I'm fine, Mr. Bobby. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Okay. All right. Got you. All righty. And looks like we got. Is that Corey again, or are you still hanging on, Corey? Okay.
Listen to the program or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Bobby.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask earlier when I asked about what goes into the mind or body, Mr. Fuller, don't you agree that it's if everything starts in the mind, we as victims of racism need to be aware that whatever we put into our mind is going to build us up or tear us down.
Absolutely. Everything starts with the mind. So a whole lot of black people now who have been brainwashed into thinking that what we should do, because we wind up doing it, is what we ought to be doing. That's what we were born for. And that's carjack somebody and think that's a big deal. Or kill your schoolmate. Go outside the school where you say you ain't learning nothing no way. And wait on the people who are still in there to come out and then shoot them. That's what you were born to do, because that's what you're doing. You ought to ask yourself these questions while you're sitting there with your rifle, waiting for your schoolmates to come out of the school and shoot them. Why? Because that's what you heard somebody else do. We're just as dumb and sick as we can be. And that's what you're looking forward to all your life, since you were in kindergarten, since you were, nursing at your mother's breast. This is what you find them wound up thinking, that this is a big deal.
This is a big deal.
Go kill me somebody.
Well, this is a big deal.
I got two guns.
Yeah. Well, this is a big deal. Got to leave it there. So, Mr. Fuller, I'm going to give it to you. We got about a minute to go. So, go ahead, Mr. Fuller.
Something that Confucius said. Life is simple. Starting this first word. Life is simple. Men make it complicated. I saw that just the other day in print. Life is simple. Men make it complicated. Think about it.
Confucius. Okay. All righty. Well, listen, thank you, everybody, for your participation in today's programming. Actually, you made it real good. Remember that the issues that we were having with the book has been resolved. Books will be shipped Friday. Any more questions, go to producejustice.com, producejustice.com. Thank you for all that you've done. I do this every week, but I sincerely mean it. I ask you for forgiveness for any and all mistake that I have made. Yes, and then I'm learning to forgive myself. So, Mr. Fuller, the last 20 seconds is yours.
Confucius. Life is simple. Think about it.
Okay, go back.
Men make it complicated.
All righty. Produce
like
Justice.
reparations.
ProduceJustice.com, everybody. Have a good week, and we look forward to seeing you, hearing you next week. All right, bye.
Always on code, Miss Davis.
Hey, Hotels.com here. Tired of living like a sardine? We know a hotel where you can enjoy the open ocean. Book hotels with ocean views in the Hotels.com app. Find your perfect somewhere.